When it comes to trends around RIA growth, there's no one better to talk to than Gabe Garcia from SEI. Gabe, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So let's dive into the million-dollar question then, because you've worked very closely with RIAs at all stages of growth. What challenges are you hearing most right now, and what are the firms that are doing it right? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, historically, challenges have always been ranked, growth, talent, technology, which are still priorities. But I think this day and age, right now in this moment, two things that really come to mind are one, business transitions, and that's a broad topic. Whether that is, the first generation founders, leaders of organizations looking to move on to the next chapter of their life, or firms reaching a point in their business evolution of what do we do next? Do we buy, build, partner, and what are those paths in making those decisions to merge, raise growth capital, or acquire other firms? So that is consuming a lot of time, and it's a very prominent question that we hear from firms. The second is really around growth, which is tied back to this business transition question. Firms have benefited from the tailwinds in the market over the last 10 years for AUM growth, but they've relied on referrals. And the next generation of investors that they're looking to attract really are making buying decisions in different ways, whether that be through social, digital, or other networking opportunities. So expanding their marketing initiatives to attract that growth for the next generation of client.
And another trend I think that's really interesting right now is that several advisory firms are taking a really good hard look at their custodial partnerships. So what are RIAs telling you that they need from their custodian?
Yeah, it's an interesting time. We know that there's two, strong competitors in the marketplace that are the dominant providers from the custodial perspective, but we're seeing new entrants or legacy firms who are beginning to really expand their capabilities. And I think it's a little bit of back to the future. This has always been a relationship business, and the complexity of businesses is requiring firms to show up differently, be partners who bring efficiency and scale to the RIAs so that they can spend the time doing what they do best, and quite frankly, allowing firms like SEI to do the rest. So that idea of efficiency, scale, integration, and de-risking their business is a very prominent request and need for RIAs.
And we obviously can't talk about growth without talking about technology. But as we know, technology seems to still be a pretty significant pain point for a lot of advisors. So how can firms cut through the noise right now and actually make their tech work better?
Yeah, well, when we talk about technology in the RIA space, we kind of think about the mom and apple pie, right? The CRM, the planning, the trading, rebalance, performance engines, but there's a whole lot of other technology that exists in the ecosystem to run an RIA, not just from a client perspective or an advisor perspective, but a day-to-day operations perspective. So we had a proliferation of technology providers who took interest over the last 2 decades, so choice is abundant. The challenge is, the amount of choice. So folks are really looking to shrink their footprint and find vendors that can do more than one thing for them at a world-class level and increase the adoption of those technologies for the benefit of the business. So we see a lot of conversations around how do I shrink my footprint to gain efficiency and scale and maybe give up 5% of some special capability but get better adoption and better outcomes.
Well, it's so interesting because when I talk to these RIAs, they would rather have 2 B+ players than trying to piece together all these disparate systems. It's something that works well enough at this point.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is such a challenge out there to think about how do we integrate. So finding ecosystems that put together key components that bring great efficiency and scale. And if the outcome is, to use your words, a B+, that's better than having an A+ capability that doesn't get used or delivered because it doesn't speak to the other technologies.
Exactly, and because I just love a good roadmap question, what's on the docket for SEI? What can folks be looking out for?
Yeah, we've been doing some great work over the years to really be innovative and think about how we invest our capital and our resources so that RIAs don't have to, and they can leverage those capabilities. And we've been focused on building a complete ecosystem for advisors that takes you from a technology platform that's a true business operating technology platform to the ability to outsource asset management or leverage the technology and trading and tax optimization to build custom portfolios, and then round that out with the wealth management capabilities that clients need and are looking for today. Advanced planning, trust services, lending capabilities, and allow people to componentize that in any way they want and enter into a relationship with SEI that serves their needs.
Well, Gabe, it is always a pleasure getting to talk tech with you and trends in the industry. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
For wealthmanagement.com, I'm Shannon Rossick.